Hello everybody, it's TubeMix or Will, either will do, and welcome to Without Him and Kick the Ball. And tonight I'm hosting, and I'm joined by the usual suspects, the football poet, Mr. Sam Taylor.
Oh, thank you. Hello, TubeMix. How are we? Are we over the cold?
Mostly, yeah. Still a little bit under the weather, but much better, and thank you to you and Jello Wheels for holding the fort, and the EFL King, JLI Wheels.
I like that. I'll take that. Hello, how are we doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, good.
So we've got plenty to cover tonight, and yeah, really looking forward. So let's get started. So the first game that we're going to start with is a really big result. Manchester City 6, Ipswich Town 0. What were our thoughts on this one?
Obviously a massive result for Man City, whose troubles over the last few months have been well documented. I thought, that the forward play and their front play was back to the old City at times. Very, very, very fluid, very, very quick and fast, and yeah, they just looked like they were back to pretty much full confidence. Obviously, playing Ipswich helps because there is a massive gulf in class there. But Ipswich's results prior to that had been picking up. So, yeah, for me, a great win for City. Still think that they'll finish in the top four. Yeah. Although it won't be easy now, as we've seen, the league is very competitive. Yes. And we won't go into that now, but we say about can Pep rebuild the squad? For the first time, really, as players are getting on a bit and they've aged together, and they have brought in a couple of new signings as well. So it'd be interesting to see how they settle in. But I think City are over their rocky period. They're not in the title race, although City could go on and win every game to the end of the season. They're that kind of team that can just do that, but I don't think they will this year. And as for Ipswich, well, couldn't really get into the game. Conceding 6 is never nice. No. But their 3 hits really against the likes of City and Arsenal and Liverpool.
That's a cool fixture list, isn't it? Getting those 3.
Yeah, but I mean, it's it's why you're in the Premier League. But those kind of teams are 3 hits for an Ipswich, and always where their cup finals, if you like, to stay in the league are going to be against the teams around them like Leicester, Wolves, Southampton, Palace, Everton.
Yes.
Even West Ham. Those are the kind of games they've got to, from the top 10 downwards, especially at home, have got to pick up points and make the stadium name's gone out of my head. Ipswich's stadium, but make their home ground.
Portman Road.
That's it. Thank you, Portman Road. Make Portman Road a fortress, which unfortunately they've not really been able to do, because I think they've only won 2 home matches all season, or maybe even just the one against Chelsea. But so they've got to do better at home. It depends. That hinges on their survival. But City, Haaland looks sharp. I think the new the new lad who flattered to deceive a little bit at the start of the season was all tricks. In Savinio, he's really started to. He looked a good player, but he wasn't producing. But now he's really starting to show a bit of form. And I think, I think again, they're not as strong as they have been, but they're recycling and regenerating. A Doctor Who phrase there, but they're regenerating into the next guys, and I think I'd just like to say as well before JLI Wheels and yourself, TubeMix, have your say, but Pep has been given a lot of unfair criticism for me in terms of them saying City need a rebuild. Can he rebuild a side? Because he's always had, perceivably the best players or some of the best players in the world wherever he's been. And he's a top manager for a reason, so I don't think it'll be a problem for him. And with the money City have got, it won't be a problem. The only way it can be a problem with rebuilding is if they, get heavy consequences from the Premier League. The Premier League sanctions that are against some of those charges. But other than that, there's no reason why Pep can't rebuild this team. And let's be honest, it's not like they're in crisis. They're in a brilliant position. Having won 4 in a row and being the first side to do that. So every side has its cycle. And you can't always replace a whole team at once when they are getting to that age. So it's a slow process. We saw it with Liverpool a few years ago. The season before last season.
When Mane left.
But he had to regenerate Klopp, and to be fair, he did. In his last season, bringing in more legs in midfield. So, so they don't need to do massive things, but they just need to bring a few fresh faces in, and I'm sure Pep will get it right. But good to see that even as a United fan, that Pep looks better now, because he didn't look well at one point, and
yes.
That's never nice to see, and I know I'll have United fans on going, "Oh, we don't mind, whatever." But Pep's a human being, and
spot on.
You don't want to see people unwell. But yeah, that's my view on the game.
Okay. Right. Thank you for your view, Sam. Okay, so JLI Wheels, your thoughts? Was it City back to their best? Did you see enough signs?
They didn't really step out of first gear all game, which is actually kind of refreshing to see. Because I think you kind of get used to the general order of things, don't you? City doing so well, and I'm a Chelsea fan and obviously a Crew fan as well, because that's my local team. I don't have any affinity to any other Premier League teams really, other than maybe Leicester, because I've been around the ground 3 times.
Well, we all remember that
I think we all have an affinity with Leicester as well, don't we?
But I've been to the Etihad a few times. I know what the club really is. I think a lot of people kind of talk about what City is, and it's all about the money and the whatever, but at the heart of it, there's a club there that's that's worked really hard and has done well, and whatever else, and more specifically, like Sam sort of mentioned about Pep, like I don't want City to do poorly, because I don't want the Premier League to lose the best manager in the world, which is something that I think I've always said. Like, you say what you want about Jurgen Klopp, I think the Premier League misses him because he's such a character. I think if Arne Slot wasn't doing so well, I think more would have been said about that. But I digress a little bit. Yeah. So City were absolutely dominant. They were, yeah, I would say back to the best. Foden was fantastic. Two goals for him.
Yeah.
Haaland started to finish over recent weeks the way that we've seen him finish.
Well, chances have started being created for him as well.
Yeah, it was nice to see John McAtee pop up with a goal.
James
McAtee. John McAtee's the brother, right? John
McAtee's
he's the one that's at Barnsley. Sorry. So yeah, it's nice to see those lads, and obviously because there's a couple of in injuries and stuff, we got to see some of the younger players as well. O'Reilly came on. Is it Mabama? Devin? Yeah, the guy.
Divine. He was in the West Ham academy.
Yeah, and I think it like you said, it's a chance for sort of that regeneration period to start, because I think another thing about the City is they make signings and they've done good things, but it's a lot. They've never really invested in youth.
Yeah,
I don't really feel, not under Pep anyway.
I think they have. I think the hard thing is the standard is so high that you've had the likes of Sancho and Cole Palmer and the lad at Real Madrid, Brahim Diaz.
Brahim, yeah.
Yeah. So and the standard is so high that it's almost hard.
And I think as well, like you sort of said it already, it's not a slight on Ipswich. They just didn't, they couldn't, and they didn't create anything. I think Ben Johnson forced a pretty decent save out of Edison. I think the next couple of weeks are really important for both of these teams. I'm just going to read out Man City's next couple of fixtures, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. Of course, I know they've got Chelsea.
When we're talking about City in the title race, like City have the capability in the next few weeks to change everything with this title race. So I just said, obviously, they've got Chelsea tomorrow night, then a Champions League game at home to Bruges. Then they've got Arsenal at the Emirates next Sunday.
Wow.
Then Leyton Orient in the FA Cup, which whatever. Then Newcastle at the Etihad, which is another sort of top 4 team. Then the week after that, they've got Liverpool at the Etihad.
Wow.
Then
some big games
going into March, they've got Forest at the City Ground.
So yeah, some big.
So it's if City are going to stand a chance, like I'm not talking about City in the title race, but let's just play devil advocate. If they are going to stand a chance, they need to win and keep winning. And I also think that right now, while the rest of the top 4, bar Forest, who just keep going really well, while sort of Arsenal and Liverpool are having little bits of wobbles here and there, now is the right time.
Yeah, and Forest probably feel the same.
And I think that's part of it as well. That's part of it as well. Forest feeling that they are they're in a position where the reason that they can do what they're doing is they're finding consistency that other teams aren't.
Yeah, and I think also it's really glad you did those fixtures, because I had no idea that City had those level of opponents coming up.
I knew they had Chelsea. I wasn't sure about the other ones.
Not just an EFL guy, Sammy. Not just an EFL guy.
Yeah, well, it just shows that I don't take much notice in the fixture list apart from the next weekend coming up. But
shall I tell you a secret? It was on Match of the Day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
All right. You should have told me that. I was really impressed.
Oh.
There you go.
That's
There you
from
go.
Pip that is.
Your credentials are slipping, JLI Wheels.
Oh, look, you got to pay attention to the media, haven't you? You know.
Yeah.
Well, that is true.
But no, you're quite right. It's a big moment, but I do feel I've been waving the City are back banner for a few weeks now. But that was prime City, and I know that you can also say, oh well, it was only Ipswich, but they turned over Chelsea on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
You know, they've won at they've won at Spurs. They've drawn against United at home, which is
they slipped against Brentford though.
No, we beat them. We United beat City.
No, I'm on about Ipswich.
Oh, right,
sorry.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on about Ipswich. You know,
Right,
they picked up good points against big teams. So
Yeah.
I really felt like this was the test for City, and I know it's mad because they're like 17th or whatever, but
I just don't think you can compare them at all.
The kind of banana skin is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that some of especially as the gap between mid-table and the top six continues to shorten in the Premier League, I think that any team that's kind of in that mid-table area, even in the lower mid-table, can still pose a massive threat nowadays. So a great win for City. I'm here for them being back. I don't think that they will win the title this year.
No, I don't think they'll win the title either.
I think that, we did say off air we weren't going to talk about transfers, but one thing that I do want to say is that I think that the idea of bringing in younger players to replace the older ones is great, instead of what City have kind of done, which is getting players that are pretty much at the peak, if not getting there.
Superstars, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so not necessarily superstars, but already getting players that are probably as good as they're going to get.
And players that are of a similar age to each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing about City is the kind of the romantic of football in me loves the fact that this team has been together for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
But the realist with football has been saying for a few seasons, like what happens when
this cycle ends?
Well, it reminds me a little bit of you say Barcelona, but also the Spanish team, which was made up of mostly Barcelona players, but that Spanish team that won the Euros, World Cup, and then Euros, and eventually you're like, what happens when this spell ends? And I know Spain have just won the Euros again, but in terms of the quality of that crop they had over 8 years was unbelievable. But cycles don't. So obviously, club football's different because they play together all the time. But that cycle doesn't last forever.
Yeah, and it absolutely does. It does not last forever. And what Pep has done at Man City over the years is nothing short of unbelievable.
Well,
No
you have
matter
to
what.
applaud it, don't you?
Yeah,
What
look,
he's done is
no matter what resources he's got to do what they've done, is still a good job. He's still like a great job.
Yes.
And I think that people forget that.
Yes.
They get a bit blinded by the money.
Yes.
Which is fair at the same time too, but
it is fair, but it's also a very easy target, isn't it?
Good win for City. Ipswich, I think, really need to put their hands in the pockets in January. I think
brought in Ciso, that'll help.
Yeah, and Philogene a good signing as well. Even though we just said we weren't going to talk about transfers, but we are. But there you go. No, I think that I'm still standing by the fact that I think Southampton, when they actually play and don't mess around the back, play the better football of the 3 promoted teams. So I think there's still a lot to improve on for Ipswich. And I worry that if Ange Postecoglou gets the sack, that Kieran McKenna will be the #1 target. That's probably analysis about another team. But then again, I also worry that it might be one of these kind of European appointments. If Ipswich brings somebody in, it might be one of these European appointments that are very hit and miss.
Yeah.
We'll see. Look,
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We might not even come to it. Yeah.
That's analysis for another day, Will. Yeah. So get us on to the next game, unless you've got anything else you want to add.
No, I'm ready to move on. So, we now move on to AFC Bournemouth 4, Newcastle United 1. I mean, Irola doing such a good job at Bournemouth. So I'll tell you what, as we had Sam's thoughts first, let's go to you, George. What were your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, I absolutely love to watch Bournemouth. It's that simple. It's modern football and pressing and intensity just done right. It's just like, and we were having a conversation off air. I've always been a big fan of Justin Kluivert.
Yes.
I've followed his career from
son of Patrick Kluivert, of course.
Yeah, former Newcastle player, which is obviously makes it even sweeter as well. I've followed his career from kind of, Valencia and Roma. I think he came through at Ajax. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I've always really wanted him to do well, and whenever I've watched him play in European games, and I don't watch a hell of a lot of European football live, just mostly highlights, but he's looked a good player, and obviously he was absolutely unreal, a hat-trick, also score at the, in front of the Newcastle fans at the Gallagher end as well is something that's incredible as well. A massive props to the goal from Kirkes as well, Milos Kirkes, the left back.
He's some player. He won't be at Bournemouth very long.
Another great finish.
Sorry, Bournemouth fans.
I think he will be with a top 4 team. I think it will be in the Premier League. I think it will be either of Chelsea or Liverpool, in my opinion. But
With Kirkes, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm certain, and I think.
Yeah, well, they've been linked with him to replace, Andy Robertson, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been linked with him for a long time. Lewis Cook. I actually just want to check this, but from what I saw, I want to just shout out Lewis Cook, because Lewis Cook, whenever I was sort of watching, looked like he was taking up a right back position. I'm just going to double check that on the team sheet.
Yes, he did. I remember the commentator saying he was playing at right back.
Yeah, he was. Lewis Cook, the midfielder, who is unreal in midfield, by the way, and should get more caps for England, played at right back, and he was outstanding.
Yeah, not easy, that.
Yeah, I've always been a very big fan of Cook. I've always wanted him to do well, and he has had a great career and played multiple times for England and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the injuries it's had, I think he's had, is it 2 cruciate injuries?
Ooh, yeah, really those are hard to come back from.
Yeah, that have really hampered his career. And
wait, you actually said something nice about a player that was injured.
Yeah, I felt like
true.
That front three. We've sort of talked about the Bournemouth front three, or even front 4, let's say, as well, with even Nielsen and Semenyo and Utara.
They're doing so well without Evan Nielsen, because when he got injured, I know they've got Semenyo and Utara and and Kluivert, but I did think without Evan Nielsen they might have struggled, but they haven't.
Well, they're an injury ravished side as well, aren't they? David Brooks as well.
Good
I think
player
we
as well, yeah.
We talked about it when the football show had its original incarnation about David Brooks being diagnosed with cancer.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
to come back to play in the Premier League, to start in the Premier League, and
it's brilliant. It's great to see, isn't it?
To perform so well at the level that he does is great. Word on Newcastle. I felt like they were okay sort of first 5 or 6 minutes before the goal went in, and then they were just completely outplayed.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. I think obviously no matter what, it's an embarrassing result, and I think that even.
Oh, sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
I want to ask you a question. So, if you were predicting this before coming into the match, who did you think would win this one? Because obviously Newcastle were on good form. The likes of, Isak has been really good so far. So, if you were predicting this, who did you think was going to win it?
Well, I feel like Newcastle, because Newcastle have been on absolute fire.
And they're at home.
Yeah. St James's Park, that atmosphere is something else, and they were just
army.
They're absolutely like
out of tune in this case.
Out of tune. Yeah, they were absolutely. That's pretty good actually for you. They were absolutely outclassed. But then I don't know. Like if I was Eddie Howe, I don't really know how I would feel about that one. But better teams than Newcastle have been. Well, actually, I don't know about better teams than Newcastle have been beaten, but better teams on paper have been beaten by Bournemouth than Newcastle this season, i.e. City, and so look, it is what it is.
That's the joy of football, isn't it? There's plenty of twists and turns. Yeah.
I just hope. The one thing that I worry about with Newcastle is their confidence when they're on these runs is unreal, but then when they get one bad result, it tends to spiral.
Yes.
So I really hope that they can keep that consistency, because they're a great team when they're on it.
It's always fascinating to me, the whole psychology, the confidence. If, a team loses a game and they just absolutely spiral down, and if they, score a goal and they have one win and then they go on a run, it's so fascinating. Anyway, have you got anything more to say?
One final thing.
Okay, that's fine.
And this is really, really important to mention about Bournemouth.
Yes.
Apart from Daniel Jebison and Mark Travers, the reserve goalkeeper.
Yes.
And Daniel Jebison, the striker who they bought from Sheffield United.
Yes.
Nobody else on that team, had made a Premier League appearance before.
That's risky, that is.
They are on their absolute bare bones, Bournemouth, at the moment, and to do what they're doing.
Well, that is just phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. And yeah, that's why I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And go ahead, Sammy.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, well, over to you, Sam.
So for me, I'm going to keep it briefer than Jordan, because Jordan's said everything that is hit all the great points.
Oh, remember the day, folks. Sam's going to keep his point brief.
So yeah, I thought I would listen to it on the radio. Obviously, I've seen the highlights since, because I was on my way to London, and it was Bournemouth tore Newcastle apart. Fantastic pace, power, great passing interchange. They go over the top. They've got a bit of everything about them. Can mix it up. But I just think it was one of those days for Newcastle. They came up against a very good Bournemouth side who fear nobody, and all teams have off days. I've been in sides where, and we've been to watch Crew who have more off days than good days, probably. but to be honest, every side, even at the top of the ball, has an off day where it doesn't click, where everybody's just slightly off the pace. I thought that Lewis Hall was as off the pace as I've seen him. Same with Tino Livramento, two English fullbacks I like a lot, but you can say that about the whole.
Yeah, I agree. They both were very poor, particularly Livramento. I felt was poor.
Yeah, you say that, but the whole team was just off it, and we have days like that. Every team does at every level. So
yes, of course, it wouldn't be natural.
Well, and in any team sport, to be honest, and individual sport, you can have off days. What I would say is George made the point of how Eddie Howe would react to that. For me, you make sure everyone's focused, but you don't really say too much. Not too much needs to be said, and you just go, you know what? It was one of those days where nothing clicked. Let's not have one again this season. But teams all have those days, and
of course,
sometimes the less you say, the better, because it can happen.
Is that why you want to keep your points brief?
And it can happen when you least expect it. So yeah, Bournemouth brilliant. John was on about whether they will lose Kirkes in the next few months or maybe Clivert, but their front players are frightening. Young.
I think that whole front line could go like Semenyo. In fact, no, I'll let you finish your point before I carry on about Semenyo.
But yeah, I just think the bigger issue for Bournemouth, bigger than losing any of those players, is the potential to lose Andoni Iraola, who is a fantastic manager. And it reminded me a little bit. Do you remember when Pochettino became the Tottenham manager and they had that young, hungry side that would press, and with Ali, Kane, Dyer at the time, and Son,
Christian Eriksen as well, yeah.
And Eriksen. It reminds me a little bit of that side. But yeah, that's me done.
Okay, right. So let's move on to our final feature.
Sorry, Will. Can I just say one more thing?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Technically two. Yeah. The point I was making about Semenyo, I remember watching him at Bristol City, and really impressed with him for sure. And it's always great to see a player doing well, but a player doing well coming up from the Championship, because sometimes it can be really difficult. And I'm sad that he didn't. He's gone to. What's the word? He's declared for Ghana, so he can't play. He can't play for England, which fair enough. Right, and the other thing.
You know my thoughts on that. He's just gone down. He's just gone down in my estimation. I really liked him, but now he can. Yeah, I don't.
The other thing that I wanted to mention is I'm just bringing up Transfermarkt. Do you know the website Transfermarkt?
Oh yeah. I often look on it. Yeah.
Well, I just look at Transfer Centre, mate.
And for the injuries for Bournemouth, we have got Ivan Nielsen with a broken foot.
Ooh, right.
Adam Smith with a muscle injury. Marcus Tavernier with thigh problems. Don't know what that means.
It's Tavernier.
Well, whatever. Julian Araujo with a hamstring injury. Luis Sinisterra with a hamstring injury. Alex Scott with a meniscus tear. And Enes Unal with a cruciate ligament tear. And he won't be back till the start of next season.
Okay, now we go to our final featured game. Chelsea 3, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Now, initially I'd like to sort of rotate it between you, Sam, and you, George, for asking who first, your thoughts on the game. but obviously Jordan is the Chelsea fan. I think I'll go with you, George. So what was your
I
thoughts
agree
on this
with
one?
that. Yeah, this is a Chelsea fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Andy wanted to talk about Mario Lemina as well. So
Okay,
it's
That's
good.
So
right.
George, what was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Chelsea dominant as ever first half. Get the goal from Adorabioyo, which is how you say it, which I spent years saying it wrong.
Well, to be honest, if I was doing it, I'd be cocking up his pronunciation as well.
I
Yeah.
think I'll just stick with Adarabioyo.
Yeah, that's how I was saying it for a long time.
Or tossing.
Yeah, well, that is what's on the back of his shirt, so it might be a better thing to say, tossing. Yeah, who deflected in a Reece James shot? Who Reece James has been fantastic, by the way, but we'll get on to that since he's
He
come back.
only plays 4 games a season.
Matt Doherty, then capitalised on a bit of a howler from Sanchez. How many times have we said that this season? So poor, but no plans to replace him apparently. Anyway, carry on. Then a great cross from Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who started for Chelsea, and Mark Cucurella sort of doing what I really like. What Cucurella does, he sort of plays on the left, but kind of drifts into midfield. I think in the modern term, it's called like a false back.
Yeah.
A great header from him. And then Noni Madueke from a corner. The corner comes in, headed down by Chalabar. It's probably going in anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just nodded in from. It's nodded in by Madueke. I like the little.
Did Chalabar start, did he?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I wanted to get on. I'll just say very quickly. I liked from Madueke, he said that Chalabar in the dressing room was giving him a bit of stick for taking the goal away. And Madueke's response was, "That's literally what they paid me to do," which I really like.
That is true, yeah.
Because I feel like that's something that I would say. Yeah. So there's two discussion points really that I want both your opinions on. We talked a lot sort of start of the season about the bomb squad at Chelsea, which had Chilwell.
Yeah, that was a mess, wasn't it?
Chilwell,
Really? Yeah.
Chalobah, Lukaku, guys like that.
Yes.
Chalobah goes out on loan to Crystal Palace.
Yes.
Plays unbelievably well. For me, should definitely be in England contention on current form.
Yeah.
Including this game. And then we get there's a couple of injuries in central defence. I think Badia Shield is a long-term injury. Joshua Chiampong, who is actually a natural right back, has been playing at centre back and doing okay, but he's not experienced enough yet. So they made the decision to recall Trevor Chalobah, which I think was kind of in the pipeline for a couple of weeks. He started and he got man of the match.
Right.
He was absolutely unbelievable. He was so good.
I wonder how it went down with Maresca after he.
Well, I read something online, and so take this with a pinch of salt. That the idea of who to bomb out and who to sell was more kind of the idea between the head of football and the technical director, which is the team of Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley.
Yes.
Which I've seen reported in a number of places because
let the manager do his job.
Yeah, but you know what those kind of things are like. Anyway, I think it had sort of been said by Maresca. Or inferred at least that he never would have got rid of Chalobah.
Well, if I was Chalobah, the way he was treated, would you want to play for the club again, Joe?
Yeah, but I mean,
would you? The way he was taken out of the first team squad and not just that, not being allowed to train, I'd be like,
it happened in. The thing is, though, Sam, we talked about this at the time. It happens in football everywhere.
Yes, it is a very common thing now.
It happens in football absolutely everywhere.
I mean, it's not right in my opinion, but it is a common thing of the game, like it or not.
Yeah.
But if I was Shalabar, I'd be like the club then, whether it was Maresca or not. The club have treated me so bad that I'm not sure I want to play for that football club again.
Difficult, isn't it? Because I don't disagree. I just
One
think
of their own, and they're treating him like
it's
not in.
it's a massive conversation that would last a while because I think there's many different angles to it.
But good on
But
him. Good on him, I
well,
guess.
look,
Coming
listen.
back.
The main thing for me and the main thing for you've got a job. Will's got a job. I've got a job. Like we've all got jobs and we're all contracted to do certain things. And I know obviously Sam, your job is a bit looser than ours, but we don't need to go into that. But me and Will have got contracts. We're contracted to work where we work and do the hours that we do,
Yeah.
and there's no scenario where we wouldn't do that. But obviously, football's a different beast. So to see a scenario like Chalabar's where he's gone right, well, I've got a great affinity to the club, but also they're paying me, and this is where I'm contracted to be, so I'll be here. It is actually a weird kind of breath of fresh air.
And to put a performance in like that is on his return. What were the Chelsea fans' reaction to him?
Yeah, big, very big.
So
was it at Stamford Bridge? Just to
It was at Stamford Bridge, yeah.
let me
yeah.
just.
So
I've just come up with a question to ask you. Do you think for Chalabar it was a point to prove
Yeah, yeah.
that game? Then? Yeah.
It's all about football's all about egos as well, isn't it? And the Chalabar family as a whole obviously followed the
There's
career of
Nathaniel Chalabar, isn't there,
yeah
as well? Yeah.
followed the career of his older brother Nathaniel as well,
how are
who's
they
also a Chelsea.
related? I didn't know they were related.
Yeah, they're brothers. So they're a massive Chelsea family, and also um it's for football, and they seem very humble, and but football is about egos. It is, and
Yes.
there's nothing better. Like, if I don't know if that was me, if I was Chalabar and they had loaned me out to a Premier League club, and they come back to me and they said, right, we'll recall you. You're gonna start. You're gonna this. You're gonna that. Because for me, he starts against Man City tomorrow evening. I'd be shocked if he didn't. Um, for
It's a
me,
testament to his character. He's done
yeah,
that
it's not
because
just that. It's a testament to it's a testament to everything. But it's also an opportunity for Chalabar to go. Yeah, I told you you might have needed me, or see,
he could have taken that the other way. He could have gone, well, you need me now in your time of need, but where were you? You were very quick to want to get rid of me. So yeah, so good on
yeah.
him.
And the other thing that I wanted to discuss is Mario Lamina. Now, how across this are you both?
Not very. I heard the other day that he's been stripped of the captaincy, but has he actually handed in a transfer request? What?
So he was stripped of the captaincy. Was it after O'Neill was sacked? He asked to leave, which I think he did under O'Neill as well.
Right.
He then has said that he wants to stay, but Vitor Pereira has said he won't play until January is over, until the
Oh, I
transfer
think he
window
said.
shuts.
I recall seeing that he apologised to Vitor
Yeah,
Pereira and
yeah,
said he would
that's
give it his all.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's all happened, but the thing that I more wanted to kind of talk about is Vitor Pereira making the decision that he will not play for Wolves until the transfer window is over, and because realistically, I think if he said he's going to stay, and there's trust between the player and the manager, then play him, because he is a good player. I've always felt like Lamina was a good
Pereira,
player.
as the manager, has to show his authority. So I would agree that actually he's good on him for.
But I'm not. I don't necessarily know whether I believe it's the right decision or not, but I definitely respect it. But the one thing that I would say about playing Lamina is that good players should play in teams while they've got relegation battles going. And
I
if
mean,
he
Lamina
said,
is a very experienced player, isn't he?
yeah,
Obviously, played for Southampton.
the other thing that it also suggests that although there there was apologies made and bits and pieces, there can't be a lot of trust between the player and the manager.
No, but maybe, but also, George, you've got to remember, I think if Wolves were in mid-table or flying near the top of the league, like Bournemouth or Forest, it'd be easier to integrate him back in. But this is a man who is the captain of Wolverhampton Wanderers, a massive Midlands football club.
And as a captain, you're expected to act a certain way.
And not only that, they're in a relegation battle, and he thinks it's okay to almost spit his dummy out of his pram because he wants to move. And if you're the captain of that club, fair enough if it's at the end of the season, I want to leave. But they're in a relegation battle. Like, you stand up and you be counted. You're the captain. You need to dig your heels in, show the example, go, right, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down bloody fighting, boys.
Well, didn't Pereira say, we win together, we suffer together or something?
I'll take it back to my own career. I played second season at St. George's Knights, Parshire football, and we were second from bottom in the league, and, it was awful. We were playing awful. And any one of us could have easily turned around halfway through the season and gone, nah, we're not having this. But we didn't, because we respected the club. And all right, we let players left at the end of the season, but we dug for that season. We dug in. We knew we were going to struggle, but we dug in. And that's what Lamina, he is not sending the right message. So for me, if he's apologised, fair enough, you review it after the transfer window, presuming he's still there. But the same with Cunha. They're on about Cunha.
Yeah, well, Cunha went down the tunnel, didn't he? And Pereira did not like that and was heavily critical.
But I mean, in terms of if he leads.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but did you see that Cunha, in response to that, one of the like local journalists had reported had confirmed that he didn't, or said that in his view he didn't do that, and Cunha had come out and said, actually, this is exactly what I did. Don't ever ask me for an interview ever again.
Oh, that's right.
Which, again, I like that.
Actually, yeah.
But carry on your point, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, if I was Cunha, say I had big clubs sniffing around me, I'd be like, look, Wolves really need me right now. I'll stay till the end of the season and then I'll leave because
I want to help the club out.
To stay in the division, But whether he will, I mean, it's different because they're at the top end and there's money involved. But
they had chances as well, Wolves, by the way. They did have chances.
Well, they create, don't they, under Pereira?
Yeah, I really like Strand Larson through the middle as well.
Yeah, he's a good player. He misses chances, but he's good.
He's a bit of an old-fashioned number 9, isn't he?
A bit of a throwback.
Yeah. So I want to ask as well, Sam, because I'm kind of struggling with it in my head when I watch Wolves. How do we feel about Vitor Pereira? Because I think the the first couple of results were great, and I think that although
they had that new
results,
manager bounce, didn't they?
yeah, no, I don't think I don't think performances have necessarily dropped. They still create. I think it's just they're not particularly clinical.
Yeah, I really like him. For me, and
Speaks well.
I think Wolves will survive. I still think that, but I do think they don't. If Cunha doesn't score or Lawson doesn't score, they struggle to get goals, so they need to find goals from other areas, maybe, or maybe bring another attacking player. So yeah, but I think they'll be all right.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So is that all your thoughts on the Chelsea v Wolves game then, George?
Yeah,
Just
go on.
one more thing on Chelsea. Um, you still think they'll finish in top four?
I think they
I
will.
think we were due a run of poor results, and I'm actually kind of glad that it happened because Chelsea in the title race discussion was really doing my head in.
Yeah, you said
Because
that the other week.
it's still a young squad and it's still got a lot to learn. And I think if we get in the Champions League, which I highly I think we will, just because that there's not a lot of teams around Chelsea are having sort of similar results. So as long as we can win and win, there's not a lot of movement, is there, sort of between like fourth and
Yeah,
eighth. So, there's not a lot. There's I don't know, but I do think they will. But and I think if they do, I think Maresca's done an absolutely unbelievable job again. Um, but I don't know. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket and say they'll definitely get Europe. I think.
I think they might win the Conference League, to be honest, and
Oh,
then
I think if they don't win the Conference League, I think that's disappointing because there's not
even
very.
with their second string, they should win that.
Yeah, I think, and again, that's another thing that I kind of want to talk
That's no
about
disrespect to the company.
once we get to the international break again, and we do what we were doing during the international breaks, where we were discussing sort of Europe and
Europe, yeah,
the
yeah.
European leagues. I'm looking forward to kind of talking about those. But yeah, I think that Chelsea will finish in a European place for sure.
Yes, I definitely think so as well.
Do you th-
I think the
Go on.
current top five. I think the current sort of top five, top six is probably what the top five, top six will be at the end of the season, in my opinion. Not necessarily in the order they're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. Do you think, last thing then, and we'll bring it to, I know this, just a question I've got for Jordan, if you don't mind, Will.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay,
Um,
yeah. Fire
it
away, Sam.
is that, do you think beyond the end of this season, I know what my answer will be, yes, there absolutely is, but with everything that's gone on, beyond the end of this season, is there a future at Chelsea for Trevor Chalobah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think he's shown with his Palace performances that
If
he's
he
good
continues
enough.
to perform, then yeah, I guess.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
good enough. It's good enough, absolutely. I just wondered with everything they'd gone on last summer whether
Yeah.
those were.
And I also think that this Chelsea ownership, for the things that it's done wrong, the players that they like, they have stayed very well. Most of them have stayed very loyal to most of them, like the ones that perform well,
Yeah.
i.e., like Palmer's getting new deals, and Jackson is they're stuck with Jackson even though he's been a bit hit and miss. Although
I really like him.
I love him. We had this debate, didn't we? Nunez, Jackson, and Havertz last week, and I said that
Jackson's my favourite out of those three.
I think we were both in agreement with that last week. I think that he does so like it's his neat little sort of turns out of trouble and stuff like that, isn't it? It's the like
it reminds me of a little bit. Maybe not physically, but an Emil Heskey type player. He does a lot.
Blimey, that's a name dug up from the past.
No, but he does. He's good at finishing. He's not the best finisher, but his link-up play and his all-round game is fantastic.
I see a logic.
Right.
But I also think that you can get people can get a little bit caught up in the fact that teams have got number 9s or strikers now that don't necessarily score a lot of goals. But if you look at the goals that have been scored by Jackson, it's still more than most of the starting strikers in the Premier League.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to go back to City a second, while we said about City, just quickly your thoughts on Erling Haaland's new 9-year deal and whether 9-year deals should be allowed.
That is ridiculous. 9-year deal.
Great question, because I think Palmer's on a similar one, isn't he?
Should they be allowed? Because obviously they do it to spread the cost, don't they?
I think it says more about the player if they're willing to sign a 9-year contract. So I think that there, apart from the obvious financial aspect, there's also that aspect of, well, they must really want to continue with us, which I think football clubs obviously love. I think there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I don't know. I don't like the idea of having clubs on. I think it's more for show than anything, because if Haaland really is still there in 9 years' time, then fair enough. I reckon he might be. If they continue to win and do well, then why wouldn't he still be there in 9 years' time?
Well, Alan Shearer, you need to enjoy your goal record while you can.
Yes,
absolutely.
Right. So, obviously that was your thoughts on the game, George. So, Sam, what were your thoughts on Chelsea?
Yeah, I'll be quick again because I sort of did.
Pretty much covered everything.
Sorry, George, I did sort of interject, but it was a good conversation. It was a good conversation to have. Chelsea doing very well this season. I had them down at the start of the season anywhere between 9th and 15th, especially with everything that went on at the start of the season, but they've really surprised me. Like Jordan said, never felt they were quite title contenders, but a little bit like under Jose Mourinho in the 13-14 season, when he said, we're not really in this title race, and then they went on and won it the next year. I just
horse. Was it that they were a small horse?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a typical. That sounds very Jose. That does.
But yeah. Really impressed with John Maresca's done, even though I don't agree with all the decisions he's made. He's acted with authority. Chelsea have a good young squad, and that'll take some time to grow or develop, but I think they've got over those initial new ownership hurdles. Obviously, they've got the Mykhailo Mudryk situation hanging over them, so we'll wait to see what happens with that.
Very interesting.
Sorry?
I said very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and for Wolves, if Cunha stays, if Cunha stays, they'll stay up. If they're losing, they'll struggle, but I don't think they will lose in this window. So Wolves will be okay.
They won't go down, will they? I don't think.
No, they need to be careful. They're in the mix, but no, I don't think they'll go down. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's something. So that is our 3 featured games done. So think of this like a record. We've had side A, now we flip to side B, and to take you through the rest of the show is Jello Wheels. Over to you.
All right, so yes, we'll get to the EFL in a moment. I just want to go through the rest of the Premier League scores. And I will just reiterate some of the scores we've already gone over as well. As said, Bournemouth beat Newcastle at St James Park 4-1. 3 goals from Cliver, 1 from Kirkes, and the consolation came from Bruno Guimaraes. Liverpool left it late at the G-Tech with a double from Darwin Núñez on the 91st and 93rd minute. The slide down the table for Leicester under Ruud van Nistelrooy continues. Rumours that he is on the brink of resigning over January transfers are beginning to circulate.
Oh, I've not heard. I've not heard that about Van Nistelrooy
No, I
potentially
haven't.
going. Yeah.
In the game, though, we'll talk about it in 1 second. In the game, though, Smith Rowe and Adama Traore sealed the points for Fulham. Crystal Palace got a good win away at the Olympic Stadium. 2 goals from Jean-Philippe Mateta and a red card after 2 yellows from Konstantinos Mavropanos. Pretty poor this from West Ham, not going to lie. Arsenal threw away a 2-goal lead at Villa. 2 goals in 8 minutes from Tielemans and Watkins drew that one level. Before that, Gabriel Martinelli and Kai Havertz for Arsenal. On to Sunday's games. David Moyes got his first win. Everton absolutely tearing apart Tottenham for sort of 75 minutes. A unbelievable goal from Calvert-Lewin. Who saw it? Somebody must have.
Did I see it? Did I watch the highlights for that game? No, I didn't.
I didn't see it either.
Fair enough. It was class. Iliman Ndiaye as well with another goal. He's brilliant.
I like him. Great player.
And Archie Gray just before the end of the first half, own goal, made it 3-0. Kulusevski and Richarlison scored for Tottenham to make it a little closer, but yeah, it's pretty comprehensive, that one. Man United beaten at home again. Jan Kuba-Minte, Haru Matoma, and an absolute howler by Andre Onana.
I did see that. I did see that.
Jorginho Rutter.
I know.
Bruno Fernandes penalty as well for Man United. Probably one of the worst goalkeeping howlers I've ever seen.
It was terrible. But the whole match,
I don't
the whole match, I could do some tablets if we're going to talk about that match.
You were tearing your hair out, weren't you, son?
Yeah.
Well, I was busy working, but yeah, it was a way to start my working day. That. Yeah.
And Nottingham Forest continued their good form, but Southampton, there were positives definitely. 3-2 at the Forest ground, which I can't remember the name of.
City ground.
It's completely gone. The City ground. Elliot Anderson with a great strike, Callum Hudson-Odoi with a great strike, and Chris Wood to make it 3-0 at half-time.
The Wood in the Forest.
Hey.
Bednarek and Onuachu with goals for Southampton. And then, of course, Monday Night Football. We already mentioned all the scorers, but I'll go over it again. Adara Bioyo, Cucurella and Madueke for Chelsea, and for Wolves, Matt Doherty. Going back and starting the EFL roundup means we have to go all the way back to Thursday night for a derby of sorts between Shrewsbury and Wrexham. Now, if you're keeping up with league, you've gone.
I was just going to say, wait, good on Shrewsbury.
Oh, no, it's Shrewsbury, not Shrewsbury. They don't like it when you say Shrewsbury.
No, it depends what type. It depends what side of the river you live on.
Anyway, Shrewsbury, of course, in some relegation trouble, starting to pick up under Gareth Ainsworth over the last few weeks. and nothing outlines that more than a 2-1 home win against Wrexham. 2 goals for John Marquis and a Stephen Fletcher consolation in between. That's a great win there. In the Championship, on Friday, it was a tale of 2 penalties, both taken by Wilson Isidore of Sunderland and both saved by the unbelievable James Trafford. Burnley, this is including the midweek fixtures as well that took place over the last couple of days. Burnley have yet to concede a goal in 2025, and they've only conceded 9 goals so far this season. It's really,
That's pretty good,
9.
actually.
It's really,
9.
really remarkable. I'll
They've
double
only
check that.
conceded 9 goals all season.
I'll double check that
Good.
right at the end of the show, and if I'm right, Will can take it out, and we can put in whatever the right number is. Also on Friday night in League Two, bit of an unfortunate night for Cheltenham away at Harrogate. 2 own goals from their players. Young and Bennett gave Harrogate the home win.
But he
Going
wasn't
in,
young after that.
I'm sure it might have given him a grey hair or 2, let me tell you. Going into Saturday's games at the Cardiff City Stadium, the Wales derby between Cardiff and Swansea was won by Cardiff. Callum Robertson with 2 goals and Demetrius Gutas
They hammered him.
with the 3rd. Ruben Sayers' Hull continued their upturning performances under Ruben Sayers with a 1-0 away win at Millwall, thanks to Jake Cooper a goal. More on their result tonight, that's Friday, when we're next with you. I don't want to give too much away. Marty Cifuentes continues his unbelievable job at QPR with a win away at Plymouth.
I saw they were up to 9 before the 10th now, I think, after all the games. But that's unbelievable because 3 months ago they were bottom.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they won in midweek as well. Let me just check that.
They did.
Yes, they did. They won at Hull actually, as we're talking. But obviously, sometimes we cover midweek, sometimes we don't. In the case of the Hull match that we were just talking about, I don't think it's necessarily relevant. But yeah, QPR doing great things. Still not really clicked for Miron Mueslik, the new manager. But there we go. Coventry's sort of revival under Frank Lampard continues. They got a fantastic win over Bristol City thanks to a goal from Brandon Thomas Asante, and they also, as we said, we won't go into it, but they did win in midweek too. So it continues to look like he's starting to get his feet under the table there. Watford won away at Derby County thanks to goals from Imran Louza and Ido Kayembe. Starting to worry about Derby a little bit, personally. Really starting to feel.
I don't think Paul Warren's good enough for that level.
I think he is. I think he just gets. I think obviously the jobs that he ends up with mean that he's always kind of in that battle. But you were talking about the reports that came out that Watford had sacked Tom Cleverley, which, as of this recording, they have the owners have turned around and denied that they're going to sack him. As of right now, we don't have any news that he's been sacked. They're doing okay, Watford, actually. Again, if we go
I
back
hope he doesn't get sacked. I know it's Watford, but I think he's done a great job considering.
If we go back to the pre-season pod episode or whatever we call in these, I had said that I thought Watford were going to get relegated. So he's doing a great job in my eyes. Luton Town's first game under Matt Bloomfield ended in a 0-0 draw, which is at least some positives, but as we'll get on in a split second, didn't go quite so well in midweek.
0-0 with who?
Preston.
Right, don't forget that.
I know it's all right because I was on a roll. Oxford continued their unbeaten start under Gary Rowett, beating Blackburn Rovers 1-0 thanks to an unbelievable Cameron Brannigan free kick. And that Luton result in midweek that I mentioned was Luton were 2-0 up against Oxford in midweek, and Oxford came back to win 3-2. So the job that Gary Rowett is doing, we talked about it last week. We'll mention it again this week. Just great stuff being done by him. Sheffield United beat Norwich 2-0. Harrison Burrows with 2 goals, one of those being a penalty.
Good player he is.
Yeah, great. I really hoped that he would have gone to the Premier League, and obviously he went to of the 2 Peterborough big losses. Burrows went to the Championship and Edwards went to the Premier League.
Edwards? Which Edwards?
Ronnie Edwards. He's on loan at QPR now.
Who does he play for?
He plays for Southampton, but he's on loan at QPR. West Brom and Stoke played out a 1-1 draw. Top scorer in League Two, Nathan Lowe, was recalled from his loan at Walsall and played for Stoke and scored within 10 minutes. A 9th-minute goal for him. And the equaliser for West Brom was scored by Grady Diangana. Portsmouth beat Middlesbrough 2-1. Come from behind win. The goal for Middlesbrough from Emmanuel Latte Laugh. Still not really sure whether he's going to leave or not.
He didn't have the last laugh there, did he?
Fucking hell. The £16 million bid from Atlanta United is still on the table. But how about this for a story? Matt Ritchie supported Portsmouth as a kid. Had a career. I don't think he ever played for Portsmouth. I think he went on loan a few times. Ended up at Swindon Town.
Newcastle player, of course.
Yeah, ended up at Swindon Town. Went to Bournemouth. Went to Newcastle. Signed for Portsmouth in the summer. 2 goals to give Portsmouth the win. And they also won in midweek, which they said on ITV was Portsmouth's 4th consecutive win. Which again, John Mousinho, especially considering how poorly Portsmouth started, just another one of those scenarios where you just have to say what a great job.
I've always liked Pompey as a club.
Yeah, me as well.
I don't know what it is about them. I like the stadium, the atmosphere when they're in the Premier League. They had that great team with Sol Campbell and David James.
Lindboy Primus.
And Kevin Prince Boateng that won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
You like a bit of Pompey then? Yeah.
That's terrible. Right, okay. You can edit that one out. That's fucking dreadful. Oh, jeez. I don't even know where to go from that. Right. Starting with League One then. Blackpool squandered a 2-0 lead to draw with Huddersfield. Rob Apter and Albie Morgan put the Seasiders 2-0 up at half time. Before Joe Taylor and Brad Spencer. Brody Spencer gave Huddersfield the draw with 2 goals in 3 minutes after the 47th minute. The Taylor goal and the 50th minute, the Spencer goal. Peterborough and Leyton Orient drew 0-0, getting increasingly worried about Posh. They are floating quite close to the drop zone in League One now. And we talked about kind of losing Edwards and Burrows and different other players such as Johnson, Clark Harris. I actually did
Burrow gone down, yeah.
If you remember the the pre-season one we did, I actually talked at length about Peterborough, and I was optimistic. I wasn't quite sure what we were going to get with them, but yeah, it's not been good so far. It's also not been good so far for Kevin Nolan at Northampton. He was beaten. They were beaten by Lincoln City. The goal from Tandai Darikwa. Birmingham City. Oh, Jesus, right. Stop it. Birmingham beat Exeter 1-0 thanks to a goal from Ethan Laird. Jack McMillan was also sent off for Exeter in the 90th plus 13 to the 103rd minute of that match. I just wanted to mention the Exeter away fans brought a Adam Stansfield, a Stansfield shirt banner that they in honor of Adam Stansfield, and obviously Jay Stansfield that play for them.
Yeah.
Bolton Wanderers. They had to rely on a injury time own goal from Cambridge's Zeno Rossi to get the draw 2-2. They were also beaten in midweek by Charlton, which saw the end of the reign of Ian Evert. A great job that was done by him there for a while, but it just didn't get things going after the playoff final loss. Thoughts?
Bolton, obviously a big club. We're regularly a Premiership club while we were growing up.
Yeah, I can remember them. It was the Reebok Stadium, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, they're way off that at the minute. But they have had all sorts of financial trouble and they've had to are working their way back up. And it just shows that even under a big club at that level, it's still hard to get out of these leagues. So,
it's like the Macon Stadium.
I think the thing that's doing it for Bolton Wanderers is very patchy. Like sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're pretty poor. Ian Evert makes comments in the media that if you're winning, it's the kind of thing you like. If you're losing, it's the kind of thing you're not so keen on. And also, he's part of he's got shares in the ownership group, which is a little bit weird.
I didn't know a manager was allowed to have shares.
Well, surely there would be rules against that, yeah.
No, I can't comment on that. I don't know the legality of that one. I'll just go back on the scorers for that one because I didn't really mention them. Josh Stokes put Cambridge ahead before John McAtee, that's the one, got the equaliser for Bolton. 2 minutes later, Elias Kachunga, against his former club, put Cambridge 2-1 up, and then obviously Zeno Ibsen Rossi with the own goal in the 90th.
He's had a bit of a fall from grace, hasn't he, Kachunga? Because I quite liked him at Huddersfield.
Yeah, he's playing in the Prem one. He played in the Prem for 2 years.
Yeah, I quite liked him.
A massive statement win for Inigo Calderon's Bristol Rovers against Barnsley. Gatlin O'Donkor, Isaac Hutchinson, and Raul Sotiriou got the goals for the Pirates. Before Josh Earl got the consolation for Barnsley. I don't know whether do they still get called the Pirates? Usually it's the Gas, isn't it, for Bristol Rovers?
Yeah.
Any ideas? Yeah. In the battle of the two relegation candidates, Crawley and Burton played out a 1-1 draw. Stop booing. Trying to get
Pantomime season's over.
Roman Burrell got the opener for Burton before Tola Shawumni equalised for Crawley. The post-Matt Bloomfield era started for Wycombe Wanderers. They got a late winner thanks to Gareth McCleary at Mansfield. Goals from Richard Kone and then Lucas Aikins from Mansfield before McCleary scored. Stockport got a good win away at the Mad Stad. That's the Madejski Stadium, the Reading Stadium.
The Mad Stad, I like that.
Isaac Olafe, they call him Tanto, means fast. Callum Connolly and Jack Diamond with the goals for Stockport. Sam Smith with the goal for Reading.
I wonder if he was feeling rough.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I
can't wait for this to be over. Something that's gone under the radar recently. Let me just bring your attention to this, right? Rotherham, when we last looked at the table, quite a while ago now, Rotherham were quite low down, so 20th, maybe even like sort of 19th, 18th.
In danger of being in the relegation zone, weren't they?
Now they're only 7 points off the playoffs. A 4-2 win they got at the weekend against Charlton. Goals from Andre Green, Alex McDonald, Zach Jules, and Malik Wilkes.
Well, clearly they've come a long way then to go all the way to near the playoffs then, yeah.
The goals from Charlton came from Miles Lieber and Matt Godden. And it was
Did he play for Coventry, Matt Godden?
Yes. Yeah. And it was a bolt from Asgard that gave Wigan the win away at Stevenage. Dale Taylor opened the scoring. Jensen Weir, son of Davy Weir, he's played for Everton, the right back, got a straight red card. And also Louis Thompson was sent off for Stevenage. Dan Kemp, as I said, got what was at the time the equaliser.
Very heated game then, clearly, yeah.
Before Asgard did what all good Danes do and popped up with a thunderbolt, as I said. It wasn't that good, Will. I butchered the joke, really. Going into League Two, Carlisle continued to struggle. They were beaten at home by Bradford. Goal from Callum Kavanagh, son of the former manager Graham Kavanagh. John Coleman's first game as the Gillingham manager ended in defeat as well.
So clearly he cut the mustard then, yeah.
Oh Jesus! Stop it! They were beaten at home by Doncaster Rovers. Goal of the day for me probably came at the WAM Stadium, that's Accrington Stanley Stadium, when they were beaten away 3-0. George Abbott, the Spurs loanee, by Notts County. George Abbott, the Spurs loanee, the fullback, with just such a crisp volley, so good, and obviously two goals from David McGoldrick as well, 3-0 there. Wimbledon beat struggling Tranmere Rovers 2-0. Goals from Josh Neufeld and Matty Stevens. Declan Drysdale was sent off for 2 yellow cards for Tranmere as well. Bromley were beaten away from home by Colchester United. I don't know why I went to say Colchester. It's not right. Colchester United. Awara Edwards with the goal there. Points shared between Grimsby and Chesterfield. Jordan Davies with the goal for Grimsby and Tom Naylor with the goal for Chesterfield. 1-1.
I bet that was a nail in the coffin.
Morecambe were beaten at home, by high-flying Crewe Alexandra.
Up the Alex, as you two say.
A goal thanks to Chris Long in the 68th minute.
Long, Chrissy, long, Chrissy, long.
Put the Alex in a great position with a couple of tricky fixtures coming up. Tomorrow, Accrington Stanley at home, and then on Tuesday night, Wimbledon at home. So, a lot of interesting things coming up for the Alex. And hopefully when we get some games, we'll have a bit more Crewe Alex analysis, because I do kind of miss that. But that's the way things have been recently. Port Vale battled to get from from 2-1 down to win 3-2 against Newport, who are another team that I've really got my eye on. I think Nelson Jardim, the Newport manager, might get the tic-tac soon. Goal from Bobby Camwer. A goal from Bobby Camwer was cancelled out first by Ben Garrity before Cameron Evans scored again for Newport. Jaden Stockley and Jaheim Headley with the goals to get the win for the Vale.
Boo!
Stop booing!
It was Port Vale, we ate him.
Pete
We couldn't even give their scores.
Pete Wild continued his good form since joining as manager of Fleetwood. 2 goals in 9 minutes saw off high-flying Salford at the Peninsula Stadium for a shock win for the Cod Army. Rowan Coughlin and Brandon Sarpong-Weirdo with the goals for them. 2 yellow cards for Kieran Kawasi as well. So Salford down to 10 men. Nearly there, boys, I promise.
Okay.
Swindon Town continued their good form under Ian Holloway. Again, what a great job he's doing.
I love it.
Well, he's an experienced manager, isn't he? He knows how to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Nandi Offerbaugh and Harry Smith with goals for Swindon. That was the end of the Barrow of a tenure at Barrow for the manager Stephen Clements. Brought in, didn't do so great at Gillingham last year, but brought in, always had a good reputation as a coach. It's just not worked out this time. He's been replaced by a complete unknown for me, Andy Wing. The former Oxford player has come in from Solihull Moors. We don't cover a lot of non-league. I very rarely ever watch non-league.
So what are you telling us? He'll be winging it then?
My research tells me he's done a really good job with Solihull. How a non-league manager translates to the league, though, is a completely different kettle of fish.
It's going to be interesting, yeah.
We'll wait and see on that one.
Just wing it, mate. Wing it.
Walsall proved there was life after Nathan Lowe by beating MK Dons 4-2. Goals from Scott Hogan, David Olokagbe, Liam Gordon, Harry Williams. How about this for a name you might not have heard for a while? Albert Adoma.
Oh, is he still playing?
Plays for Walsall. And the goals, sorry, I wasn't quite clear when I said goals for MK Dons scored by Scott Hogan and Kane Thompson. Summers.
So he must be about 50 now, Albert Adoma.
He is sort of 30, I think he's 36, 37. Moving on to Sunday. Leeds played Sheffield Wednesday and absolutely thrashed them. Goals from Manor Solomon, Lagi Ramazagi and Ao Tanaka made it 3-0 for them. Right, okay, that concludes your EFL roundup. It just leaves me to take us home. So, thanks a lot for watching. Do leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to the TubeMix YouTube channel if you have enjoyed. Also, this is now on Spotify. This should be the first episode that's going on to Spotify. Is that correct, Phil?
Yep, that is correct. Yeah. So,
what happened to the one a few months ago? I thought that was going on Spotify as well.
I don't know. No, just leave him to do whatever he's doing. Anyway, yeah. If you come across us, thanks to that, please do give us a 5-star review. Leave a comment. Let's get some conversation going. That's what we
absolutely.
We're always looking for fresh ideas as well. So if you have ideas of what you want us to talk about, then please do let us know.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's been another great show today, boys. Really enjoyed it. Really interesting conversation and analysis, as with last week. Thank you so much to Sam Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
And, of course, TubeMix as well. Thank you so much, mate.
Thank you very much. It's been such a great show. There's been some good energy and, Fantastic.
So all that's left for me to say is to make sure that you join us next week for all the analysis and news from the football world, and that'll be all without having kicked a ball. Thank you very much.